Discussions about Singapore normally proceed on the basis that money is endless. We have plenty of money to spend, and it's just a question of how to take it and spend it. But look at this slide. Revenue, 55 billion. This is for financial year 2013. Expenditure, 60 billion. Today, we are spending more than what we are earning. In other words, a structural deficit. So each time you talk about spending more money, each time one political party or other talks about we can do this and we can do that, step back and ask who is going to pay for it. In Parliament during the budget debate, whether it's PAP MPs or opposition MPs, everyone says spend more, do more things. Nobody steps back to say, can we afford? If a family runs its business like this, you know what's going to happen. Greece, Cyprus, Spain, Italy, many countries run their business like this. What it will mean if we don't have other sources is that we'll just borrow, and maybe I can see a show of hands of people under 35 here. Can those people please put your hands up? Yeah. So my generation will consume, and your generation will pay. So that's what it means if we want to be even more generous. The way we are not in deficit is because under the Constitution, we take half of our income from reserves and use it to top up. But you can see it's not limitless. This is another thing. How many people pay tax in Singapore, income tax? 31%. 2/3 of Singaporeans don't pay any income tax. So again, when we sit back and every one of us consumes public services. We use the roads, we use public transport, we get the benefit of the police force, we get public housing. A lot of it, all of it is financed, and a lot of it is subsidized. But only 1/3 of us actually pay income tax to finance it. 2/3 don't pay any income tax. Why? We believe we can do that. Most of Singaporeans, we prefer that we don't tax them. We prefer that we make them pay for the services they consume, except for the public goods like education, housing, healthcare. And it's a very progressive type of system, contrary to everything you read in the internet. You look at basically the 9th and the 10th deciles pay 80% of the income tax. And if you look at taxes across the world, 20%, Hong Kong is lower, but you look at the others. So each time you hear about the Nordic model, please remember that tax systems are very different. Nothing is for free. Our approach is you pay less, but at the same time, those who need to consume the service will pay for that specific service rather than everyone paying and some people using it. Second, if you look at Hong Kong and Singapore, there's something curious. If you earn less, say $100,000, you pay less tax in Singapore compared with Hong Kong. Hong Kong taxes the lower income more than us. But the higher income, we tax the higher income more than Hong Kong. So ours is a more progressive system compared with Hong Kong. Of course, the rest, you can see how much they pay, depending on what you earn. And then if you look at GST, again, particularly if you compare it with the West, ours is a very low system. Of course, Hong Kong doesn't have GST. People usually tell me, why don't you waive GST? The reality is the rich, top 40% and foreigners pay 84% of all of GST. And the bottom, lower 60% of the social economic sector pays only 16%. But we collect the GST and then we redistribute to the lower income. So you can say 52% of all the taxes paid by Singaporeans are paid by the top 20% if you include GST. And then if you look at the transfers, 64% of the benefits goes to the lower 50% of Singaporean households. What does a low-income, two-children family get from the government? We are talking about actual dollars. about 60% in investment in assets and skills, 40% in cash, total coming up to something like 600 to 650,000. Not something that many people understand or realize. Actual, direct, cash, certifiable benefits. Yeah. A substantial transfer to the lower income. Basically, for every tax dollar paid, whether in GST or other, $5 paid. Workfare, GST offset package, USAFE. Each stage, we can't just carry on without planning over 10 years, 20 years. This is the welfare model we have. I dare say there is no country in the world that provides, I wouldn't call it public housing, I'll call it national housing for 80% of the population, transfers something like $600,000 to $650,000 to the lower income, taxes you at a maximum of 20% and only taxes 31% of the population, keeps the taxes low, provides one of the top 5 education systems in the world. But is that enough? Can that be sustained? Can the current model be sustained? We looked at the figures, we looked at the aging profile, we looked at the demographics, not sustainable.